Alright, the more things change, the more they stay the same, am I right? Hello YouTube once again, welcome. It's your boy, it's Zach. Got you broadcasted here on the holodeck for a long anticipated and discussed video, the ELDEGOSS guide. We've had two new Pokemon recently. We've had the Psyduck, we've had the Darkrai. We've had all these buffs and patches and nerfs and whatever. ELDEGOSS has not been touched in a very long time though, and I feel like it's a very stable pick for many reasons. And it's just stable in the meta, so we're going to talk about what makes ELDEGOSS good, how to play ELDEGOSS, and I may even do some gameplay towards the end to show you guys some of what I'm talking about. So sort of like my Ho guide, what I want to do first is just read through everything, give you a very bare bones, like ground up discussion of ELDEGOSS, how this Pokemon works, and then go more in depth into some of the cooler stuff about these abilities. Before that, I'm going to do health items actually. We'll talk battle items some as well, but yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. ELDEGOSS's basic attack becomes a boosted attack with every third attack, attaching a bit of cotton fluff to opposing Pokemon. The user's basic attacks against an opposing Pokemon with cotton fluff on it deal increased damage and decrease the opposing Pokemon's movement speed for a short time. So, what this means is, if you're boosted attacking someone repeatedly, you're continually slowing them, and it becomes very difficult for them to disengage if they've picked a bad engagement. It's why you see often ELDEGOSS's run attack speed items and emblems and stuff like that, especially for lane, because you can really punish people for stacking or for just overexposing or whatever. It's a very, very strong basic attack. It's one of the best that any support has, and it's part of why ELDEGOSS is such an impressive laner. ELDEGOSS is probably one of the best laners of the game. Among the supports, only really lacks a damaging nuke ability to secure last hits, but otherwise it's just very, very solid. I don't think there's anything wrong with ELDEGOSS in that sense. Ability is cutting down, damages an opponent and decreases its movement speed for a short time. After the Pokemon with this ability receives a certain amount of damage, when that happens, the Pokemon also recovers HP and has its movement speed increased for a short time. So, in plain English, there's a certain damage threshold where if you take damage that overgoes that threshold, you will do damage in a small area around you, recover HP, and get a movement speed buff. The nice thing about this, in my opinion, is in lane you can stand next to farm if you're contesting it and throwing stuff at it, and if they're hitting the farm or hitting you, they're likely to be hitting you as well, and they're going to proc this, and it's more likely that you get the last hit. It's sort of like how Goodra will do the bubble thing and stand next to a farm, and it's really hard to get the last hit. ELDEGOSS is similar. It also means that, you know, if you're stacking in lane or you're getting chased by people, you have a better escape mechanism in terms of getting hit and escaping. Gives you a little bit of extra HP. It's generally best to think of this as a survivability tool in the mid and late game. Early game, it's good for contesting last hits and its survivability, but overall, it's a survivability tool. It makes it so that if you're getting gone on, you can escape, and especially with the movement speed you get from Cotton Spore or Cotton Guard Plus, it just helps running away and not dying. Alright, next. You start with Leafage, pelts the target with leaves, dealing the movement speed, decrease the movement speed of opposing Pokemon for a short time when it hits. Again, synergizes really well with your basic attack. If you Leafage someone and you're basic attacking them, they get slowed down a ton, and it's really easy to punish people when they come to stack or anything else. Once you hit 4, you get the best move in the game, or Leaf Tornado. We'll talk about Pollen Puff mainly in this guide because it's the best move. Leaf Tornado I will speak briefly of, but anyway, let's talk about Pollen Puff first. Throws a Pollen Puff, which attaches to a Pokemon. The Pollen Puff restores HP for ally Pokemon and deals damage to opposing Pokemon. If a Pollen Puff this is the plus move, if a Pollen Puff attaches to an opposing Pokemon, it also deals damage. It also deals them damage over time. That's such a weird way to word that. If a Pollen Puff attaches to ally Pokemon, it also reduces the damage they receive. So what does this mean? What this means is... Jeez, where do I even start? This move is so good. There's so much to talk about. Okay. So the reason you pick this move all the time is... Jeez, there's so much to talk about. Okay. Let me sort my thoughts and look at my notes and really think about this. Okay. So the reason you play Pollen Puff is, first of all, it's a healing move, which is good. Healing moves are always good. This is a healing move. That makes it good. Secondly, the damage it deals is actually not too shabby, and it heals. And so you throw it on something, in the area around that, there's healing and damage. So if you're contesting last hits, you can throw it on the last hit Pokemon, or on yourself, and just walk at stuff, Between this and Cotton Down, you're very likely to secure the last hit. It's very, very nice for that reason. HP healing just helps you stand your ground a little bit, and again with Cotton Guard or Cotton Down, it helps you as well. It's just all, you can sort of see how it all synergizes very well. In lane, you use it to stand next to stuff with Cotton Down and your basic attack. And if you're doing, like I've said before, using advanced controls to be able to attack wild Pokemon specifically, you can help guarantee last hits between this and your boosted attack, timing all of it right. There's a delay with, the only thing that's weak with this is there's a slight delay before it deals the damage it heals, so, you know, if you get caught before then, you don't get healed. Or if you're trying to secure last hits, they can pop it before the Pollen Puff goes off. But something that is nice about Pollen Puff is if it's attached to a target and that target dies before the Pollen Puff goes off, it'll immediately go off. So you can throw it on wild Pokemon, and even if they're like a melee Pokemon, say, and they want to get the last hit, they still get hit by the Pollen Puff. Or you throw it on yourself if they go on you, and then even if you die, you still deal a little bit of damage around you. And again, the damage is pretty substantial as the game goes on. It's not a bad move. The upgrade is very nice as well because it provides damage over time on your attack, which is very, very nice for Curse Incense. But even aside from that, the defense buff you get for putting it on yourself, which is the most common utility I use for Pollen Puff in general, or putting it on allies, is really, really nice for survivability as well, which also synergizes with the healing it provides. It's a move that synergizes with itself and the rest of ELDEGOSS' kit in every way. It's a very, very, very versatile move. It's very strong at every stage of the game. This is the best move in the game, hands down. Other things that are cool that you could do. You could scout grass. If you throw it in grass and there's a Pokemon standing there, it will catch onto them and you will reveal them. Again, you can just constantly have it on yourself. So if you ever walk anywhere and they go on you, after the short delay, you'll get healed. And so it's like you have a little bit of an extra buffer whenever you're going anywhere on the map. A sort of mind games thing you can do is you can throw it where you want your allies to go. So sometimes I'll be laning with someone that's about to die, and they're like trying to fight still, but I'll throw it behind them so they're forced to back up if they want heals. And so they back up for the heals, and then they're more likely to just keep backing up and play safely and not die, which is really important. And what's nice is its area of effect for all the stuff it does, the damage and the healing both. So if you throw it on someone like an all-rounder that jumps into a fight, they're going to heal themselves, anyone near them, and then damage all the people they're fighting. Pollen Puff is just very, very useful in every way for dealing with so many different things. I could keep talking about this move, and so I will. Another nice thing about the move is, we'll get into it later, but if you use your Unite move, the Pollen Puff and you have the Pollen Puff stuck on you, it's still stuck on you, so it'll deal damage in a column below where you're floating, and so you can hit people with it there. The area of effect is just large enough to where if you throw it on the middle bird, you can kill the Swablu birds by yourself pretty quickly, actually. And it just helps ELDEGOSS get farmed that way. It's very nice for that. What else? It's a low cooldown. It's 5 seconds. It's a very low cooldown. The cast range is pretty decent. I don't know. There's not much else to say. It's just a really strong move. Pollen Puff is really, really good. I mean, I could think of more things to say, and I will later. But for now, we'll stop there and say that is the Pollen Puff basics. Leaf Tornado I'll mention briefly, and then I'll talk about why I don't like it. Attacks with a tornado of sharp leaves, leaving a path in its wake that increases ally Pokemon's movement speed for a short time. The upgrade also decreases the accuracy of opposing Pokemon for a short time when this move hits. So this move is kind of nice to help you stack because you move around faster. It also helps your team move faster. It helps Regieleki move faster. But it's on a 9-second cooldown. And the damage is actually not much better than Pollen Puff. So, because Pollen Puff is on a much lower cooldown, the damage differential when you have Pollen Puff is better. Like, your DPS is way better with Pollen Puff than Leaf Tornado. So you deal less damage with Leaf Tornado. On top of that, you don't heal. So you're dealing less damage, you're not healing, and what you're getting in exchange is this thing that buffs the movement speed of stuff, which is useful for sure for getting around the map quickly. But, I don't know, Pollen Puff is just so much better in so many ways. This doesn't reveal people in grass. It doesn't contest last hits as well. It's just not as good. Well, actually, it does contest last hits a little better because it's an instant damage thing when you throw it out. So, it's a nuke that can nuke down last hits. But Pollen Puff is still better, I think, for that sort of purpose. If you just stand next to stuff with your cotton, you can get stuff just as reliably. I'm not a fan of Leaf Tornado. The biggest thing is just that the long cooldown and that it does less damage overall. Or like the DPS is lower and the healing is not there. It's like those are 3 big things that make this not ideal in my opinion. Basically, the only games I'll take Leaf Tornado is where I have another healer that's going to be able to do all the healing duties on their own. Like, if I have, like, for some reason, if I have, like, a Clefable lane top with our, whoever's up there, you know? And that I know that for a fact that guy's running healing, I might run Leaf Tornado. But even then, Pollen Puff is still nice for all the reasons I listed before. And helping your guy with healing duties isn't a bad thing necessarily. It also lets you play more independently on the map. You don't have to go base as much when you have this. This, you have to go base more often. Because you're going to be getting into more dangerous scenarios, moving around the map faster, playing, you know, guerrilla tactics in and out, going back to base and healing up. It can be good, but Pollen Puff is just better in so many ways. Your second move is Synthesis, restores HP to the user and nearby ally Pokemon. It's kind of a shitty recovery move. It's on an 8-second cooldown, doesn't heal that much. It's decent healing early on, but as you get to like 4 or 5, it's not very good anymore. You really just want to hit your 6 and get your next move. Which, this is a case where either of these moves is good, actually, and they sort of depend on which one is better for your game. The one that I generally go for in more cases is Cotton Spore. So I'll talk about Cotton Spore first, and then Cotton Guard, and then sort of the cases that you want one or the other. I will say, this isn't a case like Pollen Puff and Leaf Tornado, where Pollen Puff is just the standout better choice. Leaf Tornado is not really worth considering in most cases. These two, they're both pretty good moves. So Cotton Spore. You gather spores around the user, increasing the user's movement speed while this move is in effect. The spores burst after a short time, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect, throwing them, and decreasing their movement speed for a short time. The upgrade also increases the user's defense and special defense while using this move. So in my Help Item Guide, I sort of talked about how with this plus, if you throw the Pollen Buff on yourself and you use this, you get a lot of defense boost. It makes it really hard to kill you. And the healing is also really nice from the Pollen Puff. It makes you a very mobile tank. And I think what I like about Cotton Spore and why I choose it more often is it is a very useful move in many ways. First of all, it gives you movement speed. It boosts your movement speed when you use it. Then it deals damage in a pretty wide area around you. So it's good for farming, it's good for fighting, it's good for killing, it's good for chasing people down. It's good as an escape tool because of the movement speed alone. But even aside from all that, it's also a control tool because it throws people in the air, it stuns them. So it gives you ways to stun people and help in fights that way to make it so your attackers and all runners have more windows of opportunity to engage because people are stunned, they're stationary, it's easy to land moves or just right-click them and deal damage. And then, after all that, it also decreases their movement speed, which, guess what? Makes it easier to kill them with all the other movement speed slows and everything ELDEGOSS has. This is, like Pollen Puff, a move that synergizes very naturally with everything ELDEGOSS's kit does. And it's the sort of move that you want to be using off cooldown. This and Pollen Puff you want to use off cooldown pretty much when you're playing ELDEGOSS. Just to move around the map really quickly, you just catch people. The nice thing about Cotton Spore is, generally speaking, they can sort of see the stun coming because it's like a timer that's pretty easy to read once you played against ELDEGOSS a few times, and they'll just back away before they get stunned. You can like ambush people by hiding in a bush if you see them coming. You use it, and as soon as it's about to go off, you jump out and stun them, and they get stunned right away, and they get the slow and the damage. It's really annoying to get disrupted that way. And again, it allows your teammates to follow very aggressively. It's a move that is great for playing aggressively. It's great for stacking because of the movement speed buff. It's great for moving around on the map, for being at every objective you need to be at. It's just really, really good in every possible way. This move is incredible. Let's talk about Cotton Guard, though. Cotton Guard's also a very good move, and I used to play this one more than Cotton Spore. Protects the user and nearby ally Pokemon with Cotton. The Cotton absorbs damage, and when the move ends, the Cotton restores some HP. The upgrade increases the user's movement speed while using this move. So the plus, it's a movement speed buff. It's pretty simple. Not much to go into there. Sort of the same stuff I was talking about with Cotton Spore. Although Cotton Spore, you get that right away. This, you have to wait till you're 13. Anyway, the rest of it, though, the nice thing about this is it gives HP and it gives a shield. So it's pretty substantial survivability boost. It's a pretty substantial survivability boost you give your team when you use Cotton Guard. And it's what I'll generally tend toward if I have multiple attackers or if I don't have a defender or other helper of any kind. Like if I'm solo helper on ELDEGOSS, I'll play Cotton Guard just to be able to make everyone tankier. And if I have like 3 attackers and a defender, I'll play Cotton Guard as well because we have enough damage, we just need people to survive. Is there anything else to talk about with Cotton Guard specifically? I'm trying to think. It's a pretty simple move compared to Cotton Spore. There's lots to discuss, but, it's good in some cases. The shield and HP are bigger than you might think. They don't look that big at first, but it's pretty substantial when you're trading back and forth in a fight. The area of effect thing is similar to Cotton Spore, so you want to be standing in sort of in this middle of all your teammates to buff as many as possible. Yeah, not much else to say. Oh, one more thing I forgot about Cotton Spore, actually. Or I guess we'll talk about the Unite move, and then I'll mention that. I have another thing about Cotton Spore I'm going to mention with the Unite move, but we'll go ahead and get into it. Cotton Cloud Crash has the user float into the air and become invincible. If used again, has the user pound the ground, attacking and shoving opposing Pokemon, and restoring HP to allied Pokemon in the area of effect. So, this move is one of the best Unite moves in the game, and it's on a frickin' supporter. It's kind of nuts to think about. When you press it, you're invincible, right? So you can just press it to get out of any bad situation. You see some big scary all-rounder come in, you just press this, jump up in the air, they can't get you. Anything like that, it's very useful. The damage it deals is really good, and the healing gives your teammates is also really good. Again, all of ELDEGOSS' numbers are really good. But aside from that, this is another move that stuns people. It's very useful for that, and it pushes them. So if you land, like let's say your team is chasing someone and you Cotton Cloud Crash, you can land in front of them, the person they're chasing, to knock them back into your team to help secure the kill. You can knock people away from their goal zone if they're trying to heal up. You can knock people out of bushes. You can just disrupt their formation in a team fight. You can scatter them. It's really nice. This move is really good. As I mentioned before, Pollen Puff. If you have a Pollen Puff on you when you use Cotton Cloud Crash, it will remain on you and it'll go off whenever it goes off. And wherever you're floating, it'll deal damage and heal to anyone below that. It's very nice. Also interesting is with Cotton Spore specifically, when you use your Unite move, if you have a Cotton Spore going, normally you have to wait for the timer to finish, like the short duration, and then the seeds burst, right? But if you use your Unite move, it bursts right away. So something nice that you can do is if you have your Cotton Spore off cooldown right before you use your Unite move, I usually like to pop this and then this right away. So that way you hit them with the stun and damage and slow of this immediately, and it also stuns them to hold them in place to line up your Crash better. So it's really, really useful with Cotton Spore. It's another reason why Cotton Spore is generally preferred. But again, Cotton Guard's not bad for survivability by any means. Another note is this is a lower cooldown than this, but again, they're both good moves. It's not like this scenario. 6 to 10 is not as bad as 5 to 9. I know that it's the same number of seconds. Actually, this is slightly more because it's 10.5. But percentile-wise, this is almost double of this, whereas these are not quite that far apart. But in any case, actually, are they that far apart? I don't know. I'm not trying to do that math right now. But that's not what matters. Actually, hang on. No, I was right. Okay, I did the percent in my head. This is an 80% increase. This is a 75% increase. Sorry, math nerd. I'll stop. Anyway, those are some of the major things to talk about. There's so much more to go into in terms of like how you want to play ELDEGOSS and how you want to support your team that I'll talk about now. So the thing about ELDEGOSS that makes ELDEGOSS really nice is if you're playing Pollen Puff Cotton Spore, this is the most common build I play, and it's my preferred build. Again, you're very good at doing lots of different things, right? Pollen Puff does damage, heals, has area effect, it scouts bushes. This movement speed, area effect damage, it stuns, gives you movement speed boost. It's like they both do a lot, and they're very versatile moves, which allows ELDEGOSS to play in a myriad of ways depending on the game state. It's a very adaptable Pokemon. And in the late game, ELDEGOSS can pretty much go toe-to-toe with anyone if you know what you're doing. Some Pokemon are tougher than others, but if you line up your moves right and are able to get in close on certain people or get away from certain other people, you can deal with pretty much anybody. With Cotton Spore and Pollen Puff, you are fast enough to hunt down and take down attackers on your own when they're low on HP. You can kite all-rounders really well, stunning them, being outside of their movement, or being inside of their attack range, just moving quickly around. You can escape from, burst damage really well. You can bully other supports with your basic attack, and tanks as well. This is just really good against any other helpers in the game. It's really annoying to be attacked by ELDEGOSS constantly in team fights. But with these two moves, if you're stacking especially, I've had so many games where I've just soloed attackers. You can just chase them down, and you throw the Pollen Puff on them so it damages them for sure. It's really, really nice. Any other specific stuff like that I want to mention? trying to think. There's lots. I feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff, but at the same time, a lot of stuff is just you have to play ELDEGOSS to get experience to know what you're doing and sort of how to suss things out. I'll go into held items now. That's the biggest thing I want to talk about because there's a lot of different held item options. Again, ELDEGOSS is really flexible, so especially if you're in a draft game and you know what you're playing against, you can really sculpt your item build to, you know, tailor whatever your situation needs. First off, I'll talk about the stacking build because I've talked about this before as the bread and butter of ELDEGOSS. If you're struggling to climb on the ladder, just stack. It'll be easy. You just do this with these moves, and it's very, very easy. If you're having a hard time stacking in the mid game, Cotton Spore gets you in and out really quickly. ELDEGOSS is a strong laner, so you're more likely to win lane and be able to stack. It's really nice. And ELDEGOSS scales really well into the late game. Let's just look at numbers, right? We've done this before. We'll do it again. I think I did this in my held items video even. Here we are once again. Whoop. All right. All we need to look at is special attack and HP because that's what you get with the stacked items. So we'll do some math again. If your full stack's at level 9, right? This is your HP. You're going to have 1440 on that. That puts you at around 6,500, which is between 12 and 13 of HP. At level 9. At level 9. Your special attack, right? This number right here is going to be 295. You get 72 when you have full, or what? It's actually more with full stacks, right? Hang on. Because this gives 16, right? 16 times 7, that's 70. It's 102. Right? 70. It's 112 even. Yeah, it's even more than that. All right, 112. So 112, right? Added to which one was it? Jesus Christ, I'm mixing myself up. All right, 112 added to this. This puts you at roughly 410, between 11 and 12. So if you have full stacks at level 9, it's a reasonable place to be around 5 minutes. You have roughly between level 11 and 12 worth of special attack and level 12 and 13 worth of HP. So you're punching way above your weight. If you show up to Rayquaza with level 12, you have the HP between 14 and 15, and your special attack is pretty close to 14. So you're like a level 14 ELDEGOSS. Really, really nice. Really, really nice to have. It helps ELDEGOSS scale really well, and against ELDEGOSS play so flexibly, it lets you fill whatever role you need to in the late game. You can hunt down attackers or low health speedsters, you can kite all-rounders, and you can bully helpers. It's really, really nice for all those things. And of course, you're on Resonant Guards, it's the best item in the game, and the best item for any helper to run. Just makes your lane a lot better, and of course, with your HP bonus from stacking, it makes that better as well. With all that said, sometimes you won't be stacking, and if you're unexperienced with stacking, you probably don't want to do it anyway. So let's talk about what else to do. If you watch my held items guide, you probably know where this is going, but we'll go into it anyway. Most commonly, you're going to want EXP share. Reason being, there's always going to be someone with the lowest XP on your team, and if you're a supporter, it's very likely to be you. Not to mention, ELDEGOSS, sorry friend, I'm busy. ELDEGOSS doesn't always get a lot of farm. If you're not stacking and like getting a lot of damage to be able to kill things, so it just helps you keep up in levels. It's not bad. XP share is nice sometimes, especially if you have a lane partner. Blah, sorry, I can't talk sometimes. Especially if you have a lane partner who's really weak early on, like, you know, any starter Pokemon, any Pokemon that's power spikes are 5-7, any Pokemon that evolves after 7, anything like that, ELDEGOSS really helps with. And then your last item is sort of choice on whatever you want. If you're running Cotton Spore, there are certain items that I prefer. If you're running Cotton Guard, there's really only 2 items that I like. Okay, well actually we'll talk about Cotton Spore first. So if it's a Cotton Spore game, you have a lot of choices. Again, it sort of depends on what you need. Curse Instance is usually my go-to. If I'm not stacking, this is usually the build I run. Reason being, Curse Instance is pretty much necessary on all teams these days, since there's just a lot of healing Pokemon in the meta. You want at least 1 curse item on your team, and if they have any healing tank or healing support, you probably want 2 or 3 curse items on your team, at least 1 of each, you know, 1 curse bangle, 1 curse incense. And so running it in ELDEGOSS is really nice because it's good on Pokemon with area effect damage, Pokemon with good attacks, or Pokemon that have damage over time. I say these 3 classes because the way this item works, whenever you deal damage to someone, it applies the effect, and if you deal with a basic attack, it applies longer. So ELDEGOSS already likes basic attacking people, right? So you're going to be putting Curse Incense on them as well, very nice. Area effect moves are good because you apply the debuff to a lot of people at once in a large area, that's very nice. And then with Pollen Puff Plus, which is only at level 11, so you're usually going to get that, at least that by Rayquaza, you can throw your Pollen Puff on people, and for the entire time it's on them and a little after it bursts, it's going to be reducing their healing. So again, just a great tool for helping against certain Pokemon. It's great against a lot of different defenders and supporters. This item also helps in lane, just, you know, really annoying damage. If they're trying to get berries, it reduces the amount their berries heal them even. It's a really solid item. I would say this is the best utility build for ELDEGOSS. But if you don't want to run Curse Incense, or it's not a good game for it, or you already have enough on your team that you don't feel like you need one, other good options that I like are Buddy Barrier. This is a really good default set. Buddy Barrier gives save to your Unite move, which is really nice. And then all these items give you HP, and ELDEGOSS already has decent HP, and so obviously these two synergize well with just having a large HP pool. It's very nice. And most supporters want to help their team, and these are just another item that helps your team. If you just need raw survivability, and you're kind of worried that your team isn't going to play with you very much, or you're going to be dying on your own, or be caught out in certain areas in the map, Focus Band helps a lot. This is another solid build. It just gives you a little bit of extra wiggle room in lane. In the late game, it gives you extra time to get your Unite move off, which puts you in the air, so you can just survive everything. So if you get bursted but survive with the Focus Band, you can jump up in the air and you'll be fine. It's a really solid item, and the defense is really nice for lane as well. A lot like Buddy Barrier in that sense. I would say both of these are survival items. This is good if your team is, if you want to play with your team. This is good if your team is kind of scattered or not really playing together very well, or that's the vibe you get. Or if it's like a team that's got like, say, multiple defenders or all-rounders or other tanky Pokemon that don't need the Buddy Barrier, you can run Focus Band. Or if you're against Pokemon that make the Buddy Barrier bad, like, say, Tyranitar or Umbreon. Tyranitar because he pierces the barrier. Umbreon can still steal it, then Focus Band is obviously better there. Two other options you can consider in terms of damage output are Muscle Band and Slick Spoon. You see on low ranks especially, I know some people really like attack speed, you'll see Muscle Band and Rapid Fire Scarf, but you need Resonant Guard, I think, so Muscle Band only is what I would say. It's better than Rapid Fire Scarf in general. It's not bad, I will say, especially if it's a game where you can get a lot of attacks in on people, like you're against a lot of all-rounders and defenders or other melee Pokemon that you can keep your distance from. Or if you just want to have a... I will say, this is what I pick if I want to have a good lane, because it's the best. It's at its best during lane, when most of the damage you're dealing and receiving is through basic attacks. At that point in the game, Muscle Band is at its best, and in the late game, when you're more likely to get bursted down and not be able to get attacks off as much, it's less good. Not to mention the stats it gives you aren't really relevant. Attack doesn't matter as much. It matters a little bit, I guess, not really. The basic attack speed is like nice, but you're only getting half the stats from this. You don't really care about attack as much. But it's not bad. I don't mind Muscle Band sometimes. If I have a team that's like pretty balanced overall, we have good curse items, and all we need is a good lane for whoever I'm laning with, I might run Muscle Band, like I'm with a Gardevoir, and there I have a curse item, and the rest of my team is balanced well, I might run Muscle Band. Lastly, if everything else I said doesn't apply and all you want to do is deal damage, I like Slick Spoon. It's the best all-purpose damage dealing item for any special attacker. It just gives you the best scaling in that way. It's kind of like Muscle Band in that it helps you just deal more damage in general without having to stack. But I would say it's better than Muscle Band in the late game in general, so it's sort of a pick your poison. If you just need damage, if you just want to add damage to your ELDEGOSS, you go one of these. And if you want a better lane, it's this. If you want a better late game, it's this. That's sort of how I think about these items. But still, make sure you go through your laundry list other items first. Your Curse Incense, Buddy Barrier, and Focus Band, because I think those three are generally better. I don't really think there's anything else worth considering with Cotton Spore than those builds. With Cotton Guard, so the interesting thing about Cotton Guard is you're actually usually dealing less damage less often in the late game than you are with Cotton Spore, right? Because Cotton Spore deals damage and Cotton Guard doesn't. Not to mention, Cotton Guard, you want to be like the nucleus of your team. You don't want to be frontlining too much, because if you die, you can't Cotton Guard people. So you're generally not frontlining as much. Sometimes a little more, but it's for these reasons that you're dealing less damage less often, and you can choose to forego Resonant Guard. I would say what I usually do with Cotton Guard is I'll always run Rescue Hood. Rescue Hood, XP Share. Pretty much, if you're running Cotton Guard, you pretty much should always run XP Share, right? Because you're not going to be able to get a lot of farm with Cotton Guard as opposed to Cotton Spore. And so it's not really good with stacking in that sense. Stacking, you want to be able to deal damage to keep scaling, you know? Whereas Cotton Guard doesn't really do that. You're less likely to get XP, so XP Share. I would say if you're running Cotton Guard, these two items are a must. A lot of people don't like Rescue Hood, but I like it a lot. Reason being, the stats are nice. It's like Focus Band, but also the effect is way better than most people give it credit for, especially since Cotton Guard gives a shield and healing, and it buffs both aspects of it. It's really, really nice. And so if you're running these two, it's sort of a take your poison what you want last. You can still run the Resonant Guard. It's not bad. Helps your lane a lot. I don't think it's a bad choice. Just know that it's less good than on the Cotton Spore build. Buddy Bear is a nice option as well, since it synergizes. Both of these synergize with the Rescue, which is why you want them. And this is just good if you're playing save, right? If you're playing like in the middle of the pack and you don't want to frontline a lot, and all you want to do is save your Inteleon, Residui, or whoever else, this item helps a lot. So this can be good with Cotton Guard, or you do the other one. And I already went over the Resonant Guard stuff. If you're stacking, like I said, you just do this. You always do this on stacking with ELDEGOSS. Resonant Guard's too good not to run. You need to run this on ELDEGOSS if you can afford to. And if you're in a Cotton Spore, you pretty much always do it. And on Cotton Guard, you do a decent amount of the time as well. Let's see. What other options are there? So like I said, if you're running Cotton Guard, you pretty much always XP share. But if you're running Cotton Spore and don't want to stack, and also your defender or other helpers running XP share, so you don't want to run it yourself, you can run a full utility build. I've been testing this some with ELDEGOSS. It does go a little bit against what I said in my Help Items video, but I think it's still worth discussing just because some games you really don't want to stack. Like if their lineup is really good at punishing stacks early on, let's say you're leaning into a Chandelure Sableye, you're almost never going to finish your stacks. And you can if the Sableye sucks, but if Sableye is good, then you're not going to finish your stacks, and it's very annoying. You could, so if you're not running XP share, then you just want to run full utility. And if you're running full utility, again, you should be Cotton Spore, not Cotton Guard. You don't want to do Cotton Guard without XP share. So this is only Cotton Spore for this build. So that makes Resonant Guard really, really good. It's also just a really good item, so you almost always want to run this. And then any of the other options we discussed before for the other builds are worth considering, except maybe Rescue Hood. So, Curse Incense, Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, Muscle Hand, Slick Spoon, any of those are good. I would say also, you can run Rapid Fire Scarf and Muscle Band. Like if you're going a utility build and you just want to have a really good lane, this is really good. This gives you a really strong lane, these three items. You will destroy them. Obviously, these are less good in the late game, and again, the stats are less good on these because it's attack. You don't really care about attack on ELDEGOSS because you're a special attacker. But it is an option. One other thing I do want to mention is, on the off chance you don't want to run Resonant Guard, you can go for a full damage build and do something like this. And then you can take your pick with Muscle Band or Curse Incense. I've had games before where basically only if you have too many helpers you do this. Like if you, let's say you're laning with a defender and there's also a defender at top, that's the only time I would consider doing this build or anything like this. It just gives you a lot of raw damage output because Choice Specs with this is a really good combo. And then another damage item just helps you do a lot of damage. Makes you way less survivable, so you have to be really careful. But it gives you a lot of damage output. I actually had an ELDEGOSS game relatively recently where I ended up farming bottom as ELDEGOSS because my lane partner was a Comfy, which obviously isn't ideal, but we ended up winning the game just because I used this build. I focused on farming throughout the game, and I scaled really well. You just get to the late game, and you actually deal pretty decent damage. I don't think it's as much as most attackers, but it's not that much less. It's like pretty comparable in some cases, so it's definitely a decent option worth considering. With all of that said, I think the best thing to illustrate some of what I'm talking about now and talk through some stuff and just generally show you how to play ELDEGOSS would be to get some gameplay going. So I'm going to do one game on ranked right now, just for you watching. We are pretty decent rank right now, so this will be a good chance to stretch our legs, show off what we're capable of on this Pokemon. I'm going to pick ELDEGOSS no matter what, unless it's banned. And talk about the sort of items I'm going to go for, the build I'm going to go for, and why I'm going to go for all this stuff. Give you an idea of my decision-making process. I hope this guide has been useful, by the way. I know a lot of the stuff is stuff I've said before, stuff that might seem obvious, but it's stuff that's useful to point out anyway. I think ELDEGOSS is a really strong supporter, and probably the strongest supporter in the game just because you're so versatile. You can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the late game if you stack and you know how to play the matchup. ELDEGOSS is just a really, really useful Pokemon in a lot of cases. It's very flexible. You can fill any role your team needs. I think it's a Pokemon that is really worth considering picking up if you don't have any supporters or you're trying to learn how to be a supporter, because it does a lot of damage. You know, if you're trying to have a good lane, you can still have a good lane, or you can have fun hitting people. It's nice. ELDEGOSS is good. So I'm going to pick it no matter what. And I will curtail everything else I do based on what my team picks, as I've been discussing in this video. So, you know, if we need a lot of defense, I can go Cotton Guard. If we need to stack, we can stack. I can go Curse Incense, whatever my team needs. That is the nice thing about ELDEGOSS. Again, I keep harping on it, is flexibility. Why is flexibility so important? Because if you can adapt and your opponent is unable to, you naturally have an upper hand in whatever matchup you're in. And if you naturally have the upper hand, well, guess what? Your win percentage goes up. There's a reason ELDEGOSS is at a positive win percentage for almost a year now. This Pokemon is never bad. In terms of where you want to lane, you can lane top or bottom. It's like Ho-Oh in that it's very flexible in that sense too, but I generally prefer bottom because it's easier to get your 4 faster there. And your 4 is really important in ELDEGOSS. It just does everything for you. So we're going to pick ELDEGOSS. We're going to go bottom. I'm laning with an all-rounder, which is nice. If we don't get a defender, I will run Cotton Guard. I would like a defender, though. I generally prefer a balanced composition. Here we go. That's my man. That's my boy. I'll even take a Ho. Hey, if he wants to run XP share, guess what we're going to do? We're going to stack. So you guys need to watch how to stack. Watch the master. Oh, battle items. I didn't even discuss battle items. Let's discuss. Oh, and my emblem setup. I'll just show you real quick. I don't have all the emblems in the game, so it's not necessarily ideal. But you want max red, basically, and then whatever else into white and green. But this just gives you 8% attack speed. That's nice without having to sacrifice any held items. It's really good. Oh, my cat is being so noisy. Come here, Sora. Lie down. And the battle items. Let's discuss these now. Good. The best items to consider are X speed and eject button. I talked about this before. I'll say it again though. X speed is generally better than eject button because it's a lower cooldown, but eject button can get you to situations that X speed can't. X speed does get you on the map faster though, so it's like a what do you need? And this is useful in more situations, so I prefer it. Potion's not bad if you're solo helper. Shedinja Doll can be good to dodge certain stuff. I don't like Goal Hacker as an item, so I would never suggest using that. If you're stacking though, X speed is generally preferred in general anyway, so. Plus the Synergize is really nice with Cotton Spore. This is generally the build that I run. This is what I use when I've said this before, I'll say it again. Whenever I climb in a new season, this is exactly what I do. Every single game, like 10, 15, 20 games in a row, and I get to master rank right away. This is how you do it. And I'm going to show y'all how to win games now with stacking. This game could go poorly. I have no idea how it's going to go. We shall see though. I will do my best as always. By the way, if you're curious about the playlist or the music or anything, I'll show on screen real quick. It's a Glitch X City Pokemon Lo-Fi playlist. I just put it on shuffle. Alright, let's get into it. They have no helpers on their team. And they have 3 attackers. Armor is kind of scary, but these 2 are pretty squishy. This guy's kind of squishy. This guy we can outpace. This is the sort of game where ELDEGOSS can do really well if we get all our stacks. So we're going to really prioritize that in lane. Our lane partner's in Shifu. We do want to help him some, but I am stacking, so that's the priority always. Alright, if we can leave these, that'd be nice. He's gonna hit him though. Alright, let's go get our stacks. Generally, I prefer to leave the second row so I can stack those later on. But it's all good. Alright, and then we get the fuck out. I'll throw that behind us to slow him down. If he's gonna stay, bro, you might have fucked up. Alright, we're just going to get our farm, our other guy's going to get his farm, we can both stack again. So alright. This will give us our 4 as well, so we can heal our guy back up, so it's really important to get this done actually. I'm worried that he's going to die though. Oh, are we going to make it back? I hope so. Yeah, we got it. Oh, the lag. What's going on? Okay, there's another guy bottom, so we want to play defensively now. Oh, I didn't want him to steal that. I couldn't do it any faster, though. It was smart of him to come steal. Oh, we just need to hold our ground as much as we can. Buy space for this idiot to show up. Alright, come help us. Oh. Yeah, it's just a lane where their mid rotated before ours got there, and our guy lingered too long, and so we're kind of behind now. But it's good. We got 2 stacks. It's not horrible. Honestly, I would rather have more right now, but not a lot we can do. Oh, I stole that last hit from him. Nice. I'm going to go stack it. This guy fire spin. He's not. And you can see their cotton down really helped us get away in that situation. Alright, I'm actually gonna stick bottom. My team is all rotating top, but I want to get my stacks done. Uh-oh, these guys stayed down here. Alright, if they both stayed down here, I'm probably dead. So I'm just gonna buy space for my team. Waste their time. I'll take your berry, sure. I got my 6 out of it. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. My guy was able to get a kill there. So we actually turned that into a trade by buying space and time. They're probably gonna knock out bottom, so I'm just gonna go ahead and head top. We have our cotton spore anyway. And again, you can see I'm trying to use moves off cooldown, pretty much. Not always, but like generally speaking, they're just good to use together. I'll throw these into bushes to scout. Alright, we're gonna try to use some of this chaos to get our stacks done. Oh, because it's so important in this game. Ooh. The bandito lives. I'm out. Nice. We stunned him in the middle of it. That's nice. Alright, so look, see, against all-rounders, we're just keeping our distance and laying down attacks. Against attackers, we want to stay outside of their effective range until we can close in, which is not quite yet. Our guy didn't get the memo that the Gengar was going to kill him, so alas. Poor Yorick. Alright, well, we got to defend this now, because they knocked out our goal zone. I could have moved to try to defend it, but I don't think it was worth it. I think I'd rather just wait and defend what I know I can defend. Well, I said I know I can defend it. If my team doesn't show up, I can't do anything. Our Urshifu needs to be there. No. Well, that's rough. It seems like our team is pretty uncoordinated right now, and there's not many opportunities opening up on the map, so I'm just going to focus on finishing my stacks and farming a bit. Probably going to end up muting everyone. If your game's going poorly, the nice thing about stacking is it does let you farm pretty effectively. I'll sort of show you some of my favorite farm patterns on the map this game, I guess. Since I'm going to be doing a lot of farming, it seems. But as you just saw, that's one where you can kill those 2 pigs pretty decently. Dude, this lag is crazy. I was playing earlier and it was lag too. That was really bad. Oh, we almost outlast hit an attacker. Oh shit, I don't want to jump in there, guys. That looks like a shitty place to be. You hear that hit? We got him with the cotton spore pop. Like I was talking about. Nice. We just want to, when we're low on HP like this and they have a lot of burst damage, we just want to skirt the edges of the fight and keep people healthy if we can. Nice. I recognize that he was slow enough that we could just solo him. Oh, I'm probably dead here. Yeah, they had a lot of damage coming in. Did secure the Reggie, though. I don't mind that. Still have not finished our stacks, but we can get the Reggie top and then get it. No, why would we surrender, boys? This game's in the bag. I'm playing ELDEGOSS. My team is too slow. We're not going to get it. I'm just going to do farm. Yeah, they're already up here doing this shit. Alright. Well, if your team's slow, know what you can and can't do. I'm just going to secure the farm that we have. I can always sneak a goal towards the end of the pre-Rayquaza part of the game. Alright, we're going to use that as a glorified eject button just because I don't want to die. I want to go finish my stacks. Yeah. There's a lot of chaos top. We'll use that as space and time to go down here. We were alone against that whole onslaught, so I'm not going to lose sleep over that goal zone dying and my team being on their own now. Especially because they're unlikely to push further. And I can finish my stacks and knock this out. So this ends up being a pretty decent play, actually. Alright, we have our stacks finished. They probably got the birds mid. So I'm just going to sort of camp down here and wait for the birds down here to spawn, which they spawn close to us, which is good. So I can parasite their farm on their side. Maybe go for another score. Nice. Although, with this thing spawning, they're probably going to come down here, so I'm not going to go for it. Actually, we should just do this. That'd be nice. Yeah, I don't want to be too alone against these attackers. I can fight them pretty quickly. Or I can kill them pretty quickly if I have the upper hand on them, but if I'm alone like this, I'll just get bursted down. Which almost happened. Nice. We're just going to stay near the edge of the fight. Don't go in range of anything that could kill us. And keep people healthy. Ah, perfect. Teamwork, friends. We didn't let him get that either. That's very nice. Alright, we just go mid. Don't try to score, guys. Just go mid. We have our ult as well. We don't have Cotton Spore Plus, but we have everything else we want right now. We have full stacks. We have a Reggie buff. Everything's good right now. I'm not worried. All we gotta do is have a good fight right now, and the game is easy. Please don't do that, sire. Right. Trying to suss out where they are. Ooh, spooked him off. So you can see there, like, how the stun from Cotton Spore can be useful in a team fight. I can, like, hold those guys both in place to buy time to be able to kill them with my ult. Or at least disrupt their position, make it so they can't get any more than they've already gotten. Ooh, and look at that. What did I say? I wasn't worried, right? I trusted my boys. We're just going to lay in DPS. Okay. I want to sort of go top and see who isn't going to get theirs in. Alright, let's just get ours in now. Alright, we didn't get ours in. That's okay. He can get his in. Need one of you to get yours in, though. Dude! Okay, whatever. Just don't die! Oh! Yeah! Alright, we scored some in their base as well. I think we have enough, actually, if we just don't die. Alright. I wish the Leafeon would have just gone top. Oh, but he has a shield still. He can actually get more in. Alright. Protect the king. I will be your royal escort. Don't you worry, son. They're looking for you, but I'll do everything I can. Oh, he's not even trying, buddy. You didn't want to find another farm on the map and maybe try and score? Whatever. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's see if we win. I actually don't know. We scored a lot in their base, but we didn't knock out all their goal zones, and they knocked out more of ours. Maybe it's worth more than what we got. I hope so. This would be a shameful game to lose. The one on the video. Can you imagine? Was there ever any doubt, though? I told you guys. All we needed was a good fight. Look at that. We tanked more than our freaking defender. And look at that healing, too. Oh, my God. This is what I'm talking about, y'all. This wasn't a good damage game because despite the fact that they had no helpers, they had enough burst damage and lockdown to be able to kill me pretty quickly when I go in. So it's sort of a game where I gotta skirt around fights and not feed too horribly. But yeah, I think that does a good example of showing off some of the stuff I talked about with ELDEGOSS in my gameplay. Hope y'all agree. Hope y'all enjoy the video. Hope you learn a thing or two about this Pokemon and how to play it. Yeah, not much else to say. take care. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a blessed day. Holidays are coming up, so, you know, take care of yourself. Enjoy time with your family. All that good stuff.